This is an original first-person dramatization inspired by the ideas in the law of attraction, the basics of the teachings of Abraham, not an official statement by the authors. I'm speaking as the voice of the book, close to the page, heart to heart. Let me start with a promise. If you'll give me your attention for the next few minutes, I'll show you how to stop arguing with your own life and begin inviting it to meet you with ease. The core idea is simple and radical. Like attracts like, your dominant focus is a magnet, and your emotions are your guidance system, telling you what you're attracting right now. Most of us have been trained to act our way into better lives, but we were never taught to tune the instrument we're acting from. That tuning is everything. So here are the 5 questions I want to explore with you today. What is the law of attraction actually, stripped of buzzwords and wishful thinking? How do emotions serve as real-time guidance instead of being something to suppress or fix? What does alignment feel like practically? And how do I get there when life is messy? What do I do with contrast, the unwanted stuff that keeps showing up? And how do I stop giving it power? And how do I live as a deliberate creator each day so that this isn't just a nice idea, but a dependable way of moving through the world? If those questions tug at you, stay with me. I'll talk to you the way I wrote the book, plainly, personally, and with a deep belief that you don't have to earn the good you want. You just have to stop resisting it. Let's begin with what the law of attraction actually is. Imagine for a moment that your life is a radio, and every thought you think, every perception you hold, is a station. You don't receive jazz on a heavy metal frequency, and you don't receive well-being from a channel dominated by worry. The law of attraction is that unwavering, consistent phenomenon by which your focus calls to itself more experiences that match it. It isn't moral. It isn't judging you. It's physics for consciousness. When you dwell on how supported you feel, you notice support everywhere. When you brood on how little time you have, you collide with delays, interruptions, and frantic people in grocery lines. The law doesn't reward virtue or punish error. It amplifies attention. Most people nod at that, but then they go right back to cataloging what's wrong, hoping that enough analysis will fix it. It's like standing on 101.3 and demanding to hear 94.5. Turning the volume up won't change the song. The question is never, do I deserve it? The question is always, what am I broadcasting right now? I learned this the hard way years ago, when I kept retelling a story about being overwhelmed. I had evidence. The calendar was stuffed. Emails were a mountain range. But the day I got curious about the feeling, tight chest, shallow breath, racing mind, I realized I wasn't just describing my reality. I was renewing it. I softened the story for 10 minutes. I have more time than I think. Help is here, one step at a time. The day rearranged. Calls rescheduled. A friend texted, "Want me to handle that?" Did the universe bend on my behalf? Maybe. Or maybe I finally tuned to the frequency where solutions live. Here's the takeaway. The law of attraction means you don't work to get good things. You tune to them. Your life matches your signal. If the law of attraction is the law, emotions are your dashboard. This is where most of us got lost, because we were taught to treat feelings as problems to manage or hide. But your emotions are simply moment-by-moment indicators of whether your current focus harmonizes with what you want, or fights it. When you think, "I never get a break," and your gut sinks, that sinking isn't the universe scolding you. It's your guidance system saying, "You're focused on a version of life I can't deliver the relief you want from." By the same token, when you try on a gentler thought, What if there's a pocket of ease in my day, and your body releases an inch of tension? That emotional relief is evidence that your focus and your desire are coming into accord. People ask me, so should I fake happy? Never. Emotional guidance only works when you're honest. This isn't about slapping glitter on terror. It's about choosing thoughts that you can believe right now, thoughts that move you even half an inch up the scale. Think of emotions as a gradient. Powerlessness might soften to frustration, which is already more energized. Frustration might loosen into hope. Hope cracks into curiosity, then appreciation, then love. You climb not by denial, but by reaching for the next believable thought. I once sat in a parking lot before a difficult conversation, looping, "This is going to be awful." My body told the truth. Cold hands, tight jaw. I tried to leap to, "This will be perfect," and my mind shouted, "Liar!" So I reached for a thought I could stomach. I don't have to solve everything today. My hands warmed. Next, I can speak my truth and keep my peace. Breath deepened. Then, we both want clarity. By the time I walked in, the conversation met me on the level I had reached. Not flawless, but decent. And decent was enough to open the door to better. Here's the takeaway. Your emotions are the most accurate, immediate feedback you'll ever have. Respect them. Use them. Let them steer your focus toward relief, and relief will steer your life toward what you want. So what does alignment actually feel like? And how do you get there when your world isn't cooperating? Alignment is the felt sense that your beliefs about life match the tone of what you're asking for. It feels like a quiet click in your chest. It's steadier than a high and deeper than a mood. It doesn't require everything around you to be perfect. It requires your inner conversation to line up with your desire. And here's the secret that changed my life. Alignment is easier to find when you stop making it expensive. Many of us say, "I'll feel aligned when I have the new job, the diagnosis changes, the relationship improves." That's like saying, "I'll tune to the station after the song plays." Instead, we practice small alignment on easy topics until alignment becomes a habit that spills over into the big ones. Try this. Choose something neutral and abundant. Sunlight, clean water, the neighbor's hedges, your favorite mug. Spend a minute appreciating it without trying to fix your life with it. You are tuning. Do that 2 or 3 times a day, and you'll notice how your general set point lifts. Then, when you touch the tender subjects, you'll have more inner leverage. Alignment also blooms when you stop pushing against what you don't want. When you paddle upstream, arguing, proving, bracing, you feel resistance in your body. When you drop the oars and let the current carry you, you feel ease. Downstream isn't laziness, it's intelligence. You can feel the difference in seconds. If thinking about money makes your stomach knot, don't pound away there for an hour. Step sideways to something that eases you, then return later. You're not avoiding, you're calibrating. I used to believe I had to earn relief by solving every variable. What I learned is that relief is the solution. From relief, the next idea arrives. The phone rings. The timing lines up. Here's the takeaway. Alignment feels like ease, clarity, and quiet confidence, often before outer conditions change. Practice it on simple subjects. Stop paddling upstream and let ease escort you to better actions. Now, what do we do with contrast, the unwanted stuff? You don't have to love it. You only have to use it. Contrast is the engine of clarity. Every time something unwanted shows up, it helps you define what you prefer. That definition Your fresh desire calls life to you. The trouble begins when we install ourselves as full-time reporters of what we don't like. We fall in love with the problem story. We've all done it. We retell how unfair, how late, how rude, how broken, and then we wonder why the movie never changes. The moment contrast appears, ask, what is this causing me to want? If a colleague criticizes you, maybe you want mutual respect. If the bank account dips, maybe you want steadier inflow. If your body aches, maybe you want vitality. Write that preference in present tense language you can believe. I'm learning to enjoy mutual respect. Money is beginning to flow more predictably. My body is recovering its balance day by day. You don't have to leap to a perfect ending. You just orient toward the preference and let your emotions tell you when you're warm or cold. There's a second gift in contrast. It reveals resistance. If a topic reliably spikes your anxiety, that's not failure. That's a clear indicator there's a habit of thought you can soothe. When criticism used to flatten me, I discovered the hidden belief. If I don't win every person, I'm not safe. No wonder I was exhausted. I didn't argue with the belief. I starved it. I gave more airtime to, my worth isn't up for a vote, and the right people recognize me with ease. The world rearranged. Some voices faded, better rooms opened. The old belief went quiet because I stopped feeding it with attention. Here's the takeaway. Don't wrestle contrast. Harvest it. Let it clarify your preferences, then steadily focus on the preference more than the problem. Your attention is the food. Feed what you want to grow. How do you become a deliberate creator, day to day? You craft your focus on purpose, not just once, but in small, playful ways that add up. One of my favorite practices is what I call gentle segmenting. Before you enter a new segment of your day, waking, commuting, walking into a meeting, stepping into your home, pause for 15 seconds and set the tone. In this next stretch, I want ease and good surprises, or clarity and cooperation, or lightness and progress. You're telling your attention which station to dial to, so when life offers you choices, you'll recognize the ones that match. Another practice, pivoting. The moment you catch yourself narrating what you don't like, pivot to what you do want in language that feels true. If you hear your mind say, they never listen, pivot to, I love when conversations feel mutual, and I'm learning to speak when I'm truly ready. If you hear, there's never enough, pivot to, I'm welcoming steady flows and enjoying what's here. Not to trick the universe, but to pick a better station. Then there's appreciation, quiet, specific, and easy. Not gratitude as a performance, but simple noticing, the way morning light lands on your table, the text from the friend who gets you, the shoes that still have miles in them. Appreciation is alignment's accelerator. It's the most available doorway to the frequency where the next good idea is waiting. Finally, let action be downstream of alignment. Action is sweet when it's inspired, bitter when it's an attempt to force energy to comply. You can feel the difference. Inspired action has a glide path. Tasks group themselves. People say yes without you pushing. When action feels like trudging through syrup, pause, recalibrate, then act. I once spent a week trying to push through a project. On the 8th day, I gave myself 20 minutes of pure alignment in the backyard. Breathing, soft focus, appreciation. I returned and did more in 90 minutes than I had in the prior 7 days. Not because I became superhuman, but because I wasn't fighting the current anymore. Here's the takeaway. Deliberate creation is a rhythm of tiny, repeatable choices. Segment your day, pivot early, appreciate appreciate often, and act when it feels like the next obvious step. And now, how do you keep going when it's working slowly, or when it seems like nothing's changing? This is the part most people skip: steadiness. You are not building a perfect life by Tuesday. You are learning to trust your guidance more than conditions. When outer reality lags, and it will, remember that energy shifts first, evidence second. If you need proof before you soften, you'll wait a long time. But if you soften first, proof becomes the most natural next chapter. So here's how I stay steady. First, I normalize the lag. If you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day and yell at it for not being a tree. You water it, you enjoy the sun on your face, and you trust the process. Second, I celebrate small wins out loud, not for show, but for calibration. That call felt easier. I found the right words. I enjoyed my lunch. Those are not trivial, they're frequency markers. Third, I keep my desires open-handed. I'll say this or something better and mean it, because very often the thing I thought I wanted was a symbol for a feeling: freedom, contribution, security. And life found a cleaner path to that feeling than the plan I was clinging to. Fourth, I don't demonize dips. If I wake up cranky, I don't diagnose myself as broken. I reach for the gentlest thought I can believe. If I can't find it, I take a nap, drink water, take a walk, or watch something that makes me laugh. Reset is part of mastery. And fifth, I keep it personal. This isn't a contest for who can be the most positive. It's a private love affair with my own alignment. When you make it personal, you stop arguing on the internet and start listening to your life. You begin to notice the choreography, how a delay kept you from an accident, how a no made room for a yes, how a detour introduced you to the very person you needed. That's the conversation you came here to have. And before we close, let me leave you with a warm invitation. If any part of this resonated, if you felt even a tiny click of relief, the book goes deeper. It lays out the logic and the practices with a clarity you can return to, on the good days to amplify your momentum, and on the heavy days to remind you that your guidance never turns off. Read it slowly. Dog-ear the pages that steady you. Talk to it like a friend, and let your life show you, one gentle calibration at a time, that you were never waiting for permission. You were only waiting to remember how powerful your focus is. Here's the takeaway. Allow yourself to practice steadiness, celebrate small shifts, and keep opening the door to this or something better. If you want more examples, more clarity, more ways to tune your signal, come spend time with the book. I wrote it for the you who is ready to stop paddling upstream and start letting the current carry you.